all those moments will be lost in time.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So first things first, I am super annoyed because you know when you try and do a makeup look and you're like, oh my god, this is gonna look awesome, like I'm so excited, whatever. That's what I tried to do today. Sorry for the noise outside. But anyway, I tried to do that today and there's just like no saving it. Like I was gonna wear a pink wig, here's a picture of what it looked like. So I was already in a bad mood and that happened, so I apologize in advance for the disaster that is going on here. Okay, so today we're gonna watch another video from Think Tank, and you know, I know you guys are probably gonna be like, you drag them all the time, why are you even going back? And the reason I actually wanted to watch this video with you guys and comment on it is because it talks about the perfect husband or something along those lines, and since I'm married and Hannah isn't, I feel like it would be very interesting to compare and contrast our opinions and just see if maybe she's being too Hannah about it. Okay, so the title of the video is "This Kind of Husband is the Key to a Good Marriage."
All right, so I've been talking about marriage quite a bit lately on the show. I don't know why, because I'm not close to marriage.
I know why.
I think my clock is ticking.
Is it?
I think so. I went on a podcast yesterday and all I talked about was my clock ticking.
Really?
I'm ready, you know, just to get married, settle down. Just live my suburban life. I need a white picket fence ASAP.
Okay.
Alrighty. So there's a story out there on how to find a successful husband, right? When you have successful marriages, what do you need in a husband? So naturally, I needed to read this because that's really only the thing missing right now. We talked about this last week. Got the location, got the dress, got the florist.
I said last week was to stop telling people
I already sent out the save the dates. I just don't have the band.
Stop telling people that.
And we need to hurry up that because the save the dates are out. The date's set. You know what I mean? People are ready. People got the save the date on their fridge and they don't know who I'm getting married to.
It's like a dark shadow and a question mark.
Yeah, and I'm like this with the question mark. We're so happy together.
So we watched this delightful video for 1 minute and 8 seconds, and Hannah has not only interrupted her co-host Brooke a billion times, but she's only talked about her personal, pathetic, private life. And there's nothing wrong with being single. There's nothing wrong with planning ahead. But I agree with Brooke. This is not shit you should be telling people. You shouldn't be telling people that you've already decided everything about your marriage and that all that's missing is the guy.
So let's read this. Now, somebody named Dr. John Gottman was trying to do this long-term study of 130 newlywed couples to figure out what the happiest marriages looks like. And what he found is that men who allow their wives to influence them have happier marriages and are less likely to divorce. AKA, happy wife, happy life. Now, the critical skill is not limited to heterosexual couples. It's essential in same-sex relationships as well. But the research shows that gay and lesbian couples are actually much better at this than straight couples.
Gay and lesbians are better at a lot of things than straight people, but that's a whole other conversation.
That's why I have been trying my whole life to be gay, but it just hasn't clicked yet. I know it doesn't work like that, and I'm not happy about it. I can be upset about it.
Oh my God.
So we continue with the obnoxious stereotype of, oh my god, I just wish I were a lesbian because things would be so much easier. And while that's potentially true for you, depending on who you are, I don't really think that's a professional thing to be saying on a show that's supposed to be reporting things. And we already know that Think Tank isn't professional, but I thought that was really unnecessary, and I'm pretty sure that a bunch of people would find that offensive, and justifiably so, honestly. Like, I'm not offended for anyone, but I could understand if a gay person were to hear that and be like, what the fuck? Like, just because you're not finding anyone, being gay is like your option. Why do you think women would like you more? There are plenty of women, me included, who find you absolutely obnoxious, but that's beside the point. Here again, we see them kind of pandering to LGBT community, I guess. And you guys know I have no problem with the LGBT community, but what's the point of saying that gay and lesbian couples are more successful in a lot of things. Like Brooke was saying, oh yeah, they do a lot of things better than us. And I just think that's such a stupid generalization and such an unnecessary thing to say. You can say that in this particular study, homosexual couples did better. That's fine. But to make this blanket generalization of, you know, like straight people suck, it sounds like this whole shit that would happen on Tumblr with their down with cis that I know comes from 4chan or whatever, but it really, I don't understand what they're trying to get at by belittling one group and putting one group above the other. How is that productive? And still, we haven't gotten to really what a man has to do to be a good husband, because yeah, it says that a man should allow his wife to influence him, which I agree, but before anyone starts freaking out with the keyboard warriors, I think that both people influence each other whether they want to or not, okay? So I don't think that it's something necessarily that you actively think about like, oh, I need to let my husband influence me today. If you're around someone a lot of the time, automatically there are mannerisms of theirs you might pick up, there are phrases of theirs you might pick up, like there's so many things that just kind of overlap, if that makes sense. And I think that both people need to be open to be influenced somewhat by the other. Like when you talk to your husband or when you talk to your wife, you should be open-minded enough to know that sometimes they're right and sometimes their ideas are potentially better than yours or more productive or more effective in the current situation, right? But all this seems obvious, and it doesn't just seem like that's a husband thing to do. That's just a general relationship thing to do, even in friendships, right? So I don't get why this is being put on men only, but this goes back to the double standard that I'm talking about, where it seems like even on Twitter that women can demand like a list of 20 billion things from men, and men might demand like 2 things and automatically they're like misogynists or something. But I digress. Let's just keep going.
Now, obviously you can get mad at each other and you don't have to like, you know, be submissive to your partner. That's not what we're talking about here. But it's really important for men to honor and respect their wives and be emotionally intelligent to their wives, right? A lot of the times when men and women get in fights, what Dr. Gottman found was that men will respond very negatively to that fight, whereas women are trying to listen to what the man is saying and find the solution.
Which is how you should interact in conflict with anyone that you care about.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's called being emotionally intelligent.
And he's not saying women shouldn't do the same thing. He's saying that women are already doing it, but men aren't. Now, there's actually an 81% chance that a marriage will self-implode when a man is unwilling to share power, right? When he's unwilling to concede points and things like that.
And learn from his partner.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, only 35% of men are emotionally intelligent. That's a small percentage.
Right.
I knew we were gonna get to this point. Okay, so first of all, in any relationship that I think is healthy, there has to be a sharing of power. Now, if you want to be submissive, if you want to do some BDSM shit, if you want to be like a 50s housewife, that is entirely your choice and you are entitled to it. In my perspective, if you want to have a healthy relationship that doesn't turn into people imploding or getting angry all the time or feeling resentment for a number of years, there has to be a sharing of power. And then each relationship can decide how that power is shared, in what spheres it's shared, whatever the hell. The issue here is that they're both implying and saying that women are always trying to fix the problem, whereas men automatically are defensive in an argument. And as much as women might be raised in a certain type of way to avoid confrontation, according to society anyways, I don't think that's accurate or fair to say, because all of this is circumstantial and situational. And when I say that, I mean, it depends on who brings up the argument, because the person who's pissed is obviously going to be the one who's less likely to just be like, oh yeah, you're right, it's fine, you know? So it really depends on how the argument begins and who's starting the argument. And that really determines who's going to be the one trying to fix the problem versus who's going to be the one who is sticking to their guns, if that makes sense. I feel like there are all these extra variables that are not being taken into account. So it's just such a blanket statement that seems just, how do you even calculate that? You know, like how do you calculate that only 35% of men are emotionally intelligent? How can you test emotional intelligence? And on top of that, There are some men who are emotionally intelligent, but they don't show it to just everyone, right? There are men who are emotionally intelligent only towards specific people, only in specific situations. The same way with women, you know, not all women are emotionally intelligent. Some of them just can't connect to that. And saying that only 35% of men are emotionally intelligent is so ridiculous, because imagine someone saying, oh, only 35% of women are emotionally intelligent. Can you imagine how that would go down in the media? Whereas here, it's taken as fact. And for one, I don't know this study. I don't know how many people were in this study. I don't know the longevity of this study. There's so many things that are just being conveniently left out. So all these things are being left out, which also leads me to believe that there's a lot more to the study that isn't being put in just to fit their narrative or maybe their shitty 4-minute video. Again, we're not really getting to what makes a great husband, because here we're talking about what makes a great partner generally and what makes a great even friend potentially. Like, all of these things aren't exclusive to marriage, and more specifically, they're not exclusive to husbands. So I'm kind of confused as to why that's even the title of this video, because it seems like general human decency, but okay.
And that's a very important thing, right? For me at least, like, I think emotional intelligence was one of the most important things that you can have in a partner, both male, female, or thems or whomever. Do you know what I mean? Like, whatever you are, having emotional intelligence and being attuned to your partner and willing to openly communicate with your partner is crucial.
Right.
And so, you know, a husband who does lack emotional intelligence rejects his wife's influence because he fears a loss of power. And because he is unwilling to accept influence, he will not be influential, and the marriage implodes.
Done.
So this is interesting, you know what I mean? To think about these things. There's always like, oh, like, kiss your partner goodnight, like, don't go to bed with it being angry, and don't do all these things.
Don't cheat.
But really, it's just about being, of course, don't cheat. But it's about being emotionally attuned to your partner, right? And thinking like, hey, it's okay if she's right.
Right.
Let me listen to what's going on here.
Not being so focused on being in control,
right,
or being right. Just being focused on getting better or getting through it or learning from each other.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Like.
Now, I'm wondering from you.
I think I speak on the behalf of all of us when I say, thank God that is over. That was honestly mind-boggling that this was a video. They made it seem like husbands don't already do this, and like a majority of men don't already do this. I don't agree with that percentage of emotional intelligence. I just think it's unfounded and unrealistic. But the thing that bothers me the most here is that they're throwing out very basic information and acting like it's brand new. And I was actually looking forward to seeing what they thought about like what attributes a great husband should have, and they're saying emotional intelligence because most men don't have emotional intelligence. But that's not even true to begin with, so really they're not making any kind of statement. And when here Hannah and Brooke talk about emotional intelligence, I don't even feel like they completely understand what they're saying when they say emotional intelligence, because the examples they bring up are very basic, like, oh, you need to acknowledge that sometimes she's gonna be right. Oh, you need to let her sometimes be in control of certain things. Like, emotional intelligence goes way farther than that. Emotional intelligence is about being able to read your partner sometimes without them having to say anything. Emotional intelligence is being able to be empathetic and see from their point of view. Emotional intelligence includes so much more than just these basic ass things that they're mentioning. So this video in its entirety is not only badly researched and really almost a platitude video where you're saying all the shit we've all heard a million times, but it's also, I think, sexist, because as much as Hannah might say, oh, women need to do this too, then why is it titled "This Kind of Husband is a Key to a Good Marriage"? Why wouldn't it be titled "This Kind of Partner is the Key to a Good Marriage"? Because honestly, it really just seems like they're shitting on men for no reason. And that brings me back to the double standard, because if this were just shitting on women, it would not fly. So many people would be like screaming at the top of their lungs already. So I don't know. I'm honestly disappointed, because I was hoping there'd be more meat to this than there actually was, but it was really just saying don't be a shitty person and listen to your wife. Groundbreaking. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this. Thank you to my patrons as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.